Commander Alina Rossi stood at the observation deck of the Earth diplomatic vessel Concordia, watching the massive Praxian ship approach through the darkness of space. Its crystalline surface caught starlight in mesmerizing patterns, a beautiful yet alien sight that made her stomach clench with anticipation. After 15 years of deep space exploration, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced civilization. But something about this meeting felt wrong. "They're hailing us again, Commander," Lieutenant Park called from his station. "Ambassador Zixthor is demanding an immediate response to their terms." Alina's jaw tightened as she turned from the window. The negotiations had started promisingly enough, with the Praxians offering to share their advanced technology in exchange for access to Earth's vast water resources. But their latest demand, the immediate evacuation of 3 Earth colonies in the Centauri sector, had thrown everything into chaos. "Open a channel," she ordered, straightening her uniform. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the elongated, silvery features of Ambassador Zixthor. His 4 eyes blinked in their unsettling diagonal pattern. "Commander Rossi," his translator conveyed the clicking sounds into smooth English. "Your silence does not serve either of our peoples. The Centauri colonies must be surrendered. They lie within our ancestral migration paths." Alina kept her voice steady, despite the anger building inside her. "Ambassador, those colonies represent 15 years of human achievement. Over 30,000 people call them home. Surely we can find a compromise that—" "There will be no compromise," Zixthor interrupted, his skin shifting to a deeper shade of silver, a sign of irritation Alina had learned. "The colonies were established in ignorance, but their presence cannot be tolerated. You have 6 Earth rotations to begin the evacuation." "Or what?" The words left Alina's mouth before she could stop them. Behind her, she heard Lieutenant Park inhale sharply. All 4 of Zixthor's eyes narrowed. "Or we will remove them ourselves. We are not barbarians, Commander. We will ensure your people are safely relocated. But the colonies will be dismantled, one way or another." The transmission cut off, leaving Elena staring at empty space. She turned to her crew, seeing her own concern reflected in their faces. "Send an encrypted message to Earth Command," she ordered. "Priority 1. We need—" A sudden alarm cut through the ship's quiet hum. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Lieutenant Park shouted. "Praxian signatures, at least 20 vessels. They're surrounding the colonies." Alina's military training took over. "Battle stations. Get me a secure line to Colonel Richards on New Athens colony. Park, start broadcasting on all emergency frequencies. Tell our people to prepare for immediate evacuation." She paused, her heart racing. "And send a message to Earth Command. Tell them first contact has failed. We are now at war." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of chaos and desperate decisions. Alina coordinated with the Colonial Defense Forces, buying time for as many civilians as possible to reach the evacuation ships. The Praxians, true to their word, didn't fire on the fleeing vessels, but their massive ships began methodically dismantling the colony's infrastructure, using some kind of energy beam that reduced buildings to their component atoms. From the Concordia's bridge, Alina watched helplessly as 15 years of human expansion was erased. But it was what she discovered during the evacuation that truly chilled her to the bone. Hidden among the standard radio chatter, her communications team detected encrypted Praxian transmissions that painted a much darker picture. "The translation can't be right," Lieutenant Park insisted, but Alina had already read it 3 times. The Praxian messages spoke not of ancestral migration paths, but of something far more valuable: quantum crystalline formations deep beneath the colony's surfaces. formations that could revolutionize faster than light travel, and apparently give whoever controlled them an insurmountable military advantage. They played us, Elena muttered, staring at the data scrolling across her screen. All that talk about water resources and migration paths, they just wanted us gone without a fight. She looked up at her senior staff, gathered in the Concordia's conference room. And now they know exactly how we'll respond to threats. They've seen our evacuation protocols, our defense capabilities. It was all a test, Colonel Richards said quietly. He had managed to escape New Athens just before his command center was destroyed. They needed to know if we'd back down, and how we'd react if we did. Commander, this isn't just about 3 colonies. This was reconnaissance for something bigger. Elena nodded grimly. Send everything we've decoded to Earth Command, and get me a secure channel to Admiral Hassan. The Praxians think they've learned everything they need to know about humanity. She stood, her voice hardening with determination. It's time we show them how wrong they are. As the Concordia jumped to FTL, leaving the ruined colonies behind, Elena made a silent promise to the 30,000 displaced colonists. This wasn't over. Humanity hadn't survived centuries of hardship, hadn't reached for the stars, and built new homes light years from Earth, just to be pushed aside by the first advanced civilization they met. The Praxians thought they had won an easy victory. They thought they had discovered humanity's limits, learned how far they could be pushed before breaking. But they had actually done something far more dangerous. They had given humanity a reason to unite, to fight back, and to prove that underestimating Earth's children was the biggest mistake an alien civilization could make. The war that would reshape the galaxy had begun, and Commander Elena Rossi would make sure humanity was ready for what came next. Darius Wright had always found beauty in the static between stars, while others heard meaningless noise in the quantum fluctuations that rippled through subspace. He recognized patterns, whispers of information hiding in the void. As the lead communications specialist at the Ganymede Deep Space Listening Post, he had spent the last decade searching for signs of intelligent life among those whispers. Now, 3 months after the Praxian attack on the Centauri colonies, he wished he hadn't found it. Running analysis on frequency cluster theta 9 again, he muttered into his log, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The quantum receivers hummed softly around him, their crystalline arrays pulsing with ghostly blue light. There's something here, something in the way this signals. His voice trailed off as new data flooded his screen. The Praxian communications he'd been monitoring had suddenly shifted, becoming more complex, more layered. It reminded him of the way water rippled when something large moved beneath the surface. Computer, cross-reference with historical signals from the Centauri incident, he commanded. The AI complied, and Darius felt his heart skip a beat as the patterns aligned. They're using the quantum background radiation itself to communicate, he breathed. The static isn't hiding their signals, it is their signals. A soft chime announced the arrival of his superior, Director Regina Santos. She entered his cluttered workspace with her usual precise movements, dark eyes sharp with intelligence. Tell me you have something right. Earth Command is breathing down my neck for results. Darius gestured at his displays. The Praxians aren't just advanced director. They're operating on a level we barely understand. Remember how they seem to know exactly when and where our evacuation ships would appear. They weren't predicting our movements. They were tracking us through quantum entanglement. Regina's expression remained neutral, but Darius saw her fingers tighten on the data pad she carried. Explain. Simply. Every ship that travels through subspace leaves a quantum wake, Darius said, pulling up visualizations. We've always known this, but we thought it was just noise. The Praxians have found a way to read that noise, to use it. They've turned the entire quantum substrate of space into their own private communication network. Can we tap into it? Better. Darius allowed himself a small smile. I think we can shut it down, or at least disrupt it enough to blind them temporarily. But he hesitated. But what? But I need to get closer. The quantum interference out here at Ganymede is too strong. I need to be near one of their ships when they're actively using the network. If I can record the signal degradation in real time, I can figure out how to replicate it. Regina was already shaking her head. Absolutely not. We're not risking. Director Santos to the command center immediately. The station's AI interrupted. Multiple Praxian signatures detected entering the solar system. Darius and Regina shared a look of alarm before rushing to the central monitoring room. The massive display showed a dozen Praxian ships moving with precise coordination, their crystalline hulls refracting sunlight as they approached Jupiter's orbit. They're not heading for Earth, one of the tactical officers reported. Current trajectory suggests Ganymede. They're coming here. They know, Darius whispered. They detected my probes into their network. We need to evacuate now. Regina was already moving, barking orders into her comm unit. This is Director Santos declaring Protocol Omega. All personnel to emergency stations. Begin data purge and prepare for immediate evacuation. But Darius wasn't listening anymore. His mind was racing through calculations, possibilities. The Praxian ships would arrive in less than 6 hours. The evacuation would take at least 4. And in the chaos, with their ships so close. Director, he called out. I'm staying. Regina spun to face him. Like hell you are. That's an order, right? You don't understand. Darius met her gaze steadily. This is our chance. They're coming here because they think we've discovered their network. That means they'll be using it at full capacity, coordinating their attack. If I can record those signals, you'll die. Maybe. He smiled grimly. But I'll die giving Earth a fighting chance. We're losing this war before it really begins, Director. The Praxians can track our ships, predict our movements, coordinate their forces instantly across light years. We need to blind them, and this is our only shot. Regina stared at him for a long moment, then pulled a small data crystal from her pocket. This is a quantum encrypted channel directly to Earth Command. When, if you get what we need, use it. Don't try to be a hero and escape. Just send the data and, she paused, make it count. The evacuation alarms began to howl as Regina hurried away, leaving Darius alone in the rapidly emptying command center. He returned to his workspace, fingers flying over the controls as he prepared his equipment. The quantum receivers would need to be recalibrated, their sensitivity pushed to the absolute limit. As he worked, Darius thought about all the years he'd spent listening to the static between stars, searching for signs of intelligence. He dreamed of making first contact, of being part of humanity's first steps into a larger galactic community. Instead, he was about to become a spy, possibly a saboteur. But as he watched the Praxian ships draw closer on his monitors, their crystalline hulls now visible to the naked eye through Ganymede's viewport, Darius felt a strange sense of peace. He might die here, alone on this frozen moon, but his death would mean something. The static between stars had finally yielded its secrets, and humanity would use those secrets to fight back. The war for Earth's future was about to enter a new phase, and it would begin here in the quantum whispers between the stars. The quantum lab beneath Luna Base hummed with potential disaster. Dr. Nadia Hassan watched as energy readings spiked dangerously on her holographic displays, her modified crystalline array pulsing with an unstable violet light. The experiment was on the verge of collapse, just like all the others. But this time, something was different. Power fluctuation at 30% above safety threshold, her AI assistant warned. Recommended action, immediate shutdown. Nadia ignored the warning, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of quantum interference. The crystals she had grown using data from the destroyed Centauri colonies were finally showing the properties she had theorized. If she could just maintain the field stability for a few more seconds. Dr. Hassan. The sharp voice of General Torres cut through her concentration. Stop this immediately. That's an order. Nadia didn't look away from her instruments. With respect, General, you can court-martial me later. We're too close to stop now. The quantum field surrounding the crystalline array began to pulse faster, its violet light deepening to indigo. Warning alarms blared throughout the lab as the energy readings pushed past 40% above safety limits. General Torres barked orders into his comm unit, probably calling security to shut down the experiment by force. But they were too late. With a sound like shattering glass amplified 1,000 times, the quantum field collapsed, and for a split second, Nadia saw it. A glimpse of something impossible, a window into the underlying structure of space-time itself. Her instruments recorded everything before overloading in a cascade of sparks and smoke. As emergency systems flooded the lab with fire-suppressing foam, Nadia allowed herself a small smile. It worked, she whispered, clutching her data crystal. It actually worked. General Torres stormed through the chaos, his weathered face red with anger. Do you have any idea what you just risked? That explosion could have breached the containment field, exposed the entire base to hard vacuum. But it didn't. Nadia met his gaze steadily. And now we have proof that the Praxian quantum network can be accessed. More than that, it can be manipulated. The general's anger faded slightly, replaced by cautious interest. Explain. Nadia pulled up the recording of the experiment's final moments, her hands shaking with excitement and residual adrenaline. The Praxians use quantum entanglement for their communications, yes. But they're doing more than that. They're using it to create a sort of parallel space, a hidden dimension where information can travel instantly across any distance. Like subspace communications. No, this is different. Subspace still has limitations, still follows some of the rules of normal space. This, she gestured at the readings. This breaks all the rules, and now we know how they do it. Before Torres could respond, the lab's security system chimed. Unknown energy signature detected in Sector 7, the AI announced. Pattern matches Praxian quantum crystalline technology. Nadia's blood ran cold. They're here. They must have detected the experiment. Torres was already moving, pulling her toward the exit. We need to get you and that data to a secure facility. If the Praxians are willing to risk an attack on Luna Base. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the lab in red warning lights, but Nadia barely noticed. She was staring at her quantum sensors, watching as space itself seemed to fold and twist. General, she said softly, I don't think they're attacking. A section of the lab's wall shimmered like heat waves over desert sand, and then shifted. Where solid metal had been moments before, a figure now stood. It was humanoid but wrong in subtle ways, its proportions slightly off, its movements too fluid. Its skin had a metallic sheen that reminded Nadia of liquid mercury. Dr. Nadia Hassan, the being spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of tones that made her teeth ache. I am Observer Kethrax of the Praxian Science Council. Your experiment has drawn our attention. Torres stepped in front of Nadia, his hand on his sidearm. This is a secure Earth military facility. Your presence here is an act of war. The Praxian's liquid metal skin rippled in what might have been amusement. The war began the moment your species learned to manipulate quantum fields in ways that were unexpected. Dr. Hassan's experiment proves what we had feared. Humanity is evolving too quickly, advancing too rapidly. You are becoming a threat to the natural order. The natural order. Nadia stepped around Torres, anger overriding her fear. You mean your order. Your dominance. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Not migration paths or water resources. You're afraid of us. Fear is irrelevant. The quantum realm must remain controlled, stable. Your species' chaotic nature, your constant drive to push boundaries, you would introduce entropy into a system that has maintained balance for millennia. You mean stagnation, Nadia countered. You've had this technology for so long that you've stopped innovating, stopped questioning. You're not maintaining balance. You're enforcing stasis. The observer's form shimmered again, its edges becoming less distinct. You understand nothing. The experiments you conduct here risk more than just your own species' survival. The quantum realm is not meant to be. A sudden alarm cut through the air, different from the others. The observer's form wavered more violently, and for a moment, Nadia saw something in its liquid metal features that looked almost like panic. Quantum field disruption detected, the AI announced. Unknown source. All quantum-based systems experiencing cascading failures. Nadia's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. Darius, she whispered. He did it. He found a way to disrupt their network. The observer's form was becoming increasingly unstable, its edges dissolving into quantum static. This changes nothing, it declared, its harmonious voice now discordant and harsh. You have only proven that humanity must be contained. The Council will not allow. The being vanished in a flash of violet light, leaving behind only a faint smell of ozone and a profound silence. Torres immediately began coordinating with base security, but Nadia was already turning back to her instruments, her mind racing with new possibilities. The Praxians had revealed more than they intended. Their fear of human innovation, their rigid adherence to stability, these were weaknesses that could be exploited. And now, with Darius's disruption technique and her own breakthroughs in quantum field manipulation, humanity had the beginnings of a real defense against their advanced technology. The war wasn't over. In many ways, it was just beginning. But for the first time since the Centauri colonies fell, Earth had hope. And Nadia Hassan had work to do. Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the EFS Hyperion, staring at the weapon schematics displayed before him. Dr. Hassan's quantum breakthrough, combined with Darius Wright's signal disruption data, had led to this moment. A weapon that could not just disable Praxian ships, but completely destabilize their quantum crystalline technology, including, he now realized with growing horror, the crystalline matrices that made up their bodies. The projections are clear, Captain, Admiral Reeves said from the quantum comm display. One synchronized pulse from our fleet's quantum disruptors would collapse their entire network. Every Praxian ship, every base, every individual connected to their quantum matrix. All of it gone in an instant. Marcus felt the weight of every eye on the bridge. His crew had fought alongside him through the worst of the war, watching Earth colonies fall one by one to Praxian expansion. They had lost friends, family, homes. And now they had the power to end it all with a single command. This isn't just a military strike, Marcus said quietly. This would be genocide. They gave us no choice, Reeves countered. The Praxian Council has rejected every attempt at negotiation. Their quantum fleet is assembling for a final push into the solar system. Earth Command estimates we have less than 48 hours before they launch a full-scale invasion. Marcus turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Riza Patel. Status of the Praxian fleet: 517 ships detected through quantum signatures, sir, Reza reported grimly. They're gathering in the Kuiper Belt, using the quantum network to coordinate their formation. Our conventional forces don't stand a chance against those numbers. Marcus closed his eyes, remembering the conversation he'd had with Commander Rossi before this mission. She had warned him that the Praxians' fear of human innovation would drive them to extreme measures. They'll try to end the threat permanently, she had said. They won't stop until humanity is contained, controlled, or eliminated. Captain, his XO, Commander Diana Santos, spoke up. We're receiving a transmission from the Praxian flagship. Text only through conventional channels. Put it on screen. The message was brief. Your species' manipulation of quantum forces cannot be permitted. Surrender now and accept containment or face extinction. You have 6 hours to comply. Well, there's your answer, Captain, Admiral Reeves said. They're not giving us a choice. Either we strike first with a quantum disruptor, or we watch Earth burn. Marcus stared at the tactical display, at the overwhelming force gathering to destroy his homeworld. The quantum disruptor was ready. His finger hovered over the command key that would transmit the activation codes to the fleet. One press, and humanity would be safe. One press, and an entire civilization would cease to exist. Sir, Diana said softly. Dr. Hassan's last transmission, there might be another way. Marcus turned to her sharply. Explain. Her research showed that the Praxians' quantum network isn't just a communication system. It's part of their evolutionary history. They developed it over millions of years, integrated it so deeply into their biology that they can't function without it. But that integration goes both ways. The network itself has been shaped by their consciousness, their collective experiences. What are you suggesting, Commander? Instead of destroying the network, what if we could change it? Dr. Hassan's experiments proved that human minds can interface with quantum fields in ways the Praxians never imagined. If we modified the disruptor pulse, tuned it to transmit human consciousness instead of destructive interference. You want to send our thoughts into their network? Marcus asked incredulously. Our memories, our experiences, our understanding of what it means to be human. It's never been done, Diana admitted. It could kill anyone who attempts it. But it's better than genocide. Admiral Reeves scoffed. This is absurd. Captain Chen, you have your orders. The quantum disruptor. Marcus cut the transmission. The bridge fell silent as he walked to the main viewport, watching the distant stars. Everything he had ever known about duty, about protecting Earth and her colonies, told him to fire the weapon. But everything he had ever believed about humanity, about what made them different from the Praxians, told him there had to be another way. Commander Santos, he said finally, how long would it take to modify the disruptor? 3 hours, maybe 4. But sir, we need volunteers willing to risk connecting their minds to the quantum network. The neural feedback alone could be fatal. Marcus turned to face his crew. I won't order anyone to do this. But I will lead by example. Prepare the modifications. I'll be the first to connect. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. While Dr. Hassan's quantum equations were transmitted to the fleet, Marcus recorded what might be his final message to Earth Command, explaining his decision to disobey orders. He knew he would likely face court-martial if he survived, but he also knew he could never live with himself if he didn't try this first. As the modified quantum disruptor hummed to life, Marcus lay in the neural interface chamber, electrodes attached to his temples. Around him, 30 other volunteers from his crew, including Commander Santos, prepared for their own connections. Quantum network interface in 3 minutes, Reza reported from the bridge. Praxian fleet is moving. They've detected our power spike. Marcus closed his eyes, thinking of all the things that made humans what they were. Their curiosity, their creativity, their capacity for both destruction and compassion. Their ability to look into the dark unknown of space and see not just danger, but possibility. Interface in 60 seconds. He thought of the Praxians, so afraid of change that they would destroy an entire species to maintain their perfect order. What would they do when they felt the full chaos and beauty of human consciousness flooding their network? Interface in 10 seconds. Marcus took a deep breath. Send it all, he ordered. Every memory, every emotion, every dream and fear and hope. Show them who we really are. Interface initiating. The universe exploded behind Marcus's eyes, and humanity's message began to transmit across the quantum realm. The war for Earth's future entered its final phase, not with weapons of mass destruction, but with the most powerful force humans possessed, their humanity itself. Time seemed to stop in the quantum realm. As Marcus Chen's consciousness merged with the network, he experienced an eternity in what his body would perceive as mere seconds. Around him, he felt the presence of his crew, 30 brave souls who had volunteered to risk everything on this desperate gamble. But more than that, he felt them. The Praxians, their collective consciousness, a vast crystalline structure of perfect order and symmetry. At first, there was resistance. The Praxian quantum matrix recoiled from the chaos of human thoughts and emotions, trying to isolate and contain the foreign elements invading their system. But humanity had evolved to adapt, to overcome, to transform. The neural patterns of Marcus and his crew began to resonate with the quantum field, creating new harmonies that had never existed before. Through the connection, Marcus shared everything. The wonder of a child seeing their first sunrise, the fierce joy of discovery, the pain of loss and the strength found in healing, the complexity of human contradiction, how they could fight to protect peace, destroy to create, break rules to uphold greater laws. Most importantly, he shared their capacity for change, for growth, for seeing beyond the boundaries of what was known into the realm of what could be. Back in normal space, Dr. Nadia Hassan monitored the quantum fluctuations from her lab on Luna Base, her instruments recording patterns that defied conventional physics. The network is transforming, she reported to Earth Command. The rigid crystalline structure is becoming more fluid, more dynamic. It's adapting. Commander Alina Rossi, watching from the bridge of the Concordia, saw the Praxian fleet's formation begin to shift. The perfect geometric patterns of their battle lines wavered, individual ships moving in new and unpredictable ways. They're receiving our message, she whispered. They're feeling what it means to be human. In the quantum realm, Marcus encountered the consciousness of Observer Kethrax, the same being who had confronted Dr. Hassan. But now, stripped of physical form and merged in the pure quantum state, true understanding became possible. Your chaos, Kethrax's thoughts resonated through the network. It is not destruction. It is creation. This is who we are, Marcus projected back. Not a threat to your order, but a chance for evolution, for something new. Through their connected consciousness, Marcus shared the full truth of humanity's response to the Praxian ultimatum. How they had created a weapon that could have destroyed the entire Praxian civilization, but chose instead to risk everything on the chance for understanding. How they had looked into the abyss of genocide and chosen a harder, more uncertain path. The quantum network pulsed with new energy as more Praxians joined the connection, their ordered minds encountering human chaos and finding not destruction, but transformation. The rigid patterns of their quantum crystalline technology began to shift, incorporating the organic flexibility of human neural patterns. On the Ganymede Deep Space Listening Post, now repaired and reoccupied, Darius Wright detected something unprecedented in the quantum background radiation. The static, he reported excitedly. It's not random anymore. It's singing. The song spread through space, a harmony of human emotion and Praxian precision, of chaos and order combined in ways that neither civilization had imagined possible. The quantum realm itself seemed to resonate with a new frequency, creating patterns that would take scientists generations to fully understand. Inside the neural interface chamber on the Hyperion, Commander Diana Santos was the first to notice the change in the Praxian fleet's quantum signatures. "Captain," she called through the mental link. "They're powering down their weapons. All of them." Marcus felt the shift in the quantum network as the Praxian consciousness reached a consensus. Their fear of chaos, of change, was being replaced by something new: curiosity. The same driving force that had pushed humanity to the stars was awakening in their crystalline minds. The connection began to fade as human consciousness reached its limits. Before it ended, observer Kethrax shared one final message. "We have existed in perfect stability for millennia, never questioning, never changing. You have shown us that true balance is not the absence of chaos, but its integration. Perhaps it is we who have been stagnant, while you have been truly alive." As Marcus and his crew returned to normal consciousness, the quantum network stabilized into a new configuration. The rigid barriers between Praxian and human patterns dissolved, creating a shared space where both species could communicate and grow together. The war ended not with the extinction of either side, but with the birth of something entirely new. The Praxian Council, forever changed by their experience of human consciousness, extended an offer not of surrender or containment, but of collaboration. The quantum realm they had sought to control became a bridge between species, a place where the precision of crystalline thought could merge with the creativity of human minds. Earth's colonies in the Centauri sector were rebuilt, but not as they were before. New structures rose that combined human and Praxian architecture, organic curves flowing into crystalline angles. The quantum network that had once been a weapon of war became a tool for sharing knowledge, for exploring the universe in ways neither species could have achieved alone. Years later, Commander Alina Rossi stood on the observation deck of a new kind of ship, one built by both humans and Praxians. As she watched the quantum drives power up, creating patterns of light that seemed to dance between order and chaos, she remembered the fear and uncertainty of first contact. "We nearly destroyed each other," she said to observer Kethrax, who stood beside her in his liquid metal form. "All because we couldn't see past our differences." "Perhaps that was necessary," Kethrax replied, his crystalline voice now harmonizing perfectly with human speech patterns. "Sometimes the greatest transformations require us to face our deepest fears. You taught us that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace." As the ship prepared to jump into quantum space, Alina smiled. Humanity had reached for the stars seeking new frontiers, new challenges, new forms of life. What they had found was not just an alien civilization, but a mirror that showed them their own greatest strengths: their ability to adapt, to empathize, to find solutions where others saw only conflict. The stars beckoned, and this time, two civilizations would explore them together. Their differences not erased but celebrated, their strengths combined in ways that would reshape the galaxy. The quantum realm hummed with possibility. and the future stretched out before them like an endless sea of stars.